Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this one here, I want to talk about the big breaking news that's out today, and that is that Andrew Lincoln confirms that there's a conversation happening right now as to his return to the Walking Dead universe as Rick Grimes. So I want to break down exactly what he said and get into all that here. So before going further, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. Now, I will be doing my episode 3 review for The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, so stay tuned. That'll be out right after this. I apologize for not posting all week. I got very, very sick literally all week this week, so yeah, it threw me off all week this week, and yeah, you know, it's really unfortunate because there's a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about with episode 2 and everything, but whatever, episode 3 is here, and yeah, so stay tuned for my review coming out right after this, but let's actually get into exactly what Andrew Lincoln had to say, and I will say I was really surprised by this. I was not expecting something like this happening, I mean, this early this morning. So Andrew Lincoln did an interview this morning with BBC and actually talked about, I guess he was mostly talking about the play or the theater run that he's been doing, which was The Lady from the Sea. And he was asked about, you know, would you ever consider returning as Rick Grimes to the Walking Dead universe? And I'm seeing this here from bleedingcool.com. So I'll leave a link down below to the article if you do want to check it out. But yeah, he was asked if he would consider returning as Rick Grimes to the Walking Dead universe. And this is what he had to say. He says, "There's a conversation happening right now," and then he shifts to focusing on the play and whatnot. So you can kind of tell he didn't want to necessarily answer that right now, you know, because obviously he wants to talk about the play and everything, and everyone wants to know, like, are you coming back as Rick and this and that? And I mean, saying that one little thing there, like lots of articles are being written about it now, so it just kind of like one little thing like that, it's gonna, you know, everyone's gonna notice right away. And so right there, that's actually really exciting. The fact that he actually confirms that there's an actual conversation happening about it right now, that says a lot about where they're at right now, what AMC is planning to do, what Scott Gimple is planning to do and all that. And, you know, I guess the next direction of The Walking Dead, because it's really been a conversation over the last little bit, right? Like after season 4 is over, where are they going? Are they just going to do something else with other characters? Is Rick Grimes going to be even involved? And now it seems like he's likely going to be involved. And so let's talk about that. The fact that there's an actual conversation happening right now, and it's, you know, I guess late 2025, they're filming season 4 right now until, I guess, at some point later this year, right? And that'll come out late next year. Dead City season 4 might be a thing. It's a rumor right now, but it's supposed to be filming early 2026. And so it's going to be filming back to back with season 3 of Dead City. We'll see if that still happens or not, but that's the rumor right now. And so that could be out early 2027, but there's nothing coming out in late 2027. And that's one of the things that I've always kind of said is that, like, if Rick was coming back at all, or if there was going to be a show coming out in late 2027, they would have to be talking about it and planning it right now, because they would likely have to film that like next year, right? And so that was the one thing that I was wondering about. And I mentioned that, I think, you know, I guess at Comic-Con or at some point after that, when they announced that season 4 would be the last season for The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon. And so the fact that Andrew Lincoln said this, I think is really exciting, because it means that that's sort of where they want to go with this, is like they want all the characters to reunite. And that's going to be the next direction here for The Walking Dead, is getting all the characters to reunite. So I think it's actually going to be happening. I do think we will see Rick and Daryl reuniting. Like, I don't think it's going to be, I mean, honestly, Rick and Morgan or Rick and like any other characters, I'm sure they could be in the show as well. And like, we will get a reunion show like that for sure. But I just think the fact that, you know, Daryl Dixon's ending with season 4 and Andrew Lincoln is saying this, it just makes sense that they're probably timing this to come out probably late 2027. But you never know. It could be pushed off until, you know, later on in 2028. But AMC's not going to have anything for The Walking Dead coming out in 2027, really. So I think that's probably what they're planning for right now. I'm assuming anyways. And that's why they're in talks with Andrew Lincoln right now about like what to do next. And so that's the really exciting part about this too, is the fact that they are talking about this right now means that they actually have a story worked out here, and they kind of know where they want to go, right? Because Andrew Lincoln has always said that like he would come back if the story was right, and the story needed to be right. And so I think that that's the thing. If the story is good, he will come back. And so I think that's sort of what they're talking about right now. Like exactly what he says is like, there's a conversation happening right now. So they're talking about, you know, how to do this and whatnot. And so like, I imagine that obviously, you know, he does want to come back, because like, why would he even have a conversation about it if he was like, no, I'm not going to come back kind of thing, right? Like if there's something with the story that he doesn't like, they'll work out something. I'm sure he'll be involved with the story. I'm really excited to hear from Denai Guerrera about all this too, because she hasn't really said anything about it. Now I'm really interested in, her return and whether or not she's going to say anything about like, yeah, there's conversations happening right now. Like, I'm really curious as to, who they're talking to with everything. Like, is Lenny James going to be involved, or, like who's going to be involved in all of this here? And so it's really interesting, like the fact that Andrew Lincoln said that there's conversations happening right now. I think that AMC does want to actually get them to reunite. And that's going to be something that likely happens in 2 years from now, most likely. They'll probably be filming it next year. I mean, at some point, they're going to have to announce the show, right? And so that could be literally later this year once they actually have, a story worked out. And so it's probably what they're doing right now, honestly, is writing the story, working on the story, working with Andrew Lincoln on this is probably where we're going to go, and this is what we want to do and all of that, and talk about the seasons, or if it's going to be one season or how many episodes, this and that, work out all the details on all of that. Obviously, there's the whole financing part to it too, right? You got to pay all the actors and stuff. And so you got to figure out well, if we're going to do this, who are we coming to get on the show? And, are they going to be available? And all of that, right? So there's a lot of things like that I think is probably, what he's sort of meaning in terms of there's a conversation happening right now. It's yeah, we're talking about okay, so how can we actually do this here? This is sort of our plan, because I do think AMC wants to just do this now, right? And I think it's time, definitely. There's been a lot of talk about this for a long time now. Any post that is made about The Walking Dead, it's just don't care, where's Rick, right? Or I want to see Rick and Daryl. It's just that's literally just been the thing that has always dominated every sort of Walking Dead post for a while now. And so I will say, in terms of, what I would want, definitely, I think for sure it is going to be more than 6 episodes. I do think that AMC doesn't want to do 6 episodes anymore, just because they did it with some of their shows for a couple of years, but there's not really, I don't know, people don't really like it. People want more episodes. 8 episodes, I would even argue, isn't enough. There's just something about having more episodes that works so much better for The Walking Dead and just TV shows in general. And I do think that there is a trend going back to I'm not saying there's going to be 22 or 24 episodes or something like that, but somewhere around 10 to 16 episodes, in that range. It could be 12 or 13. A lot of shows used to do that. I do think that for The Walking Dead, 16 works really well, just because they always had 8 episodes airing in the fall, 8 in the winter, right? And that worked really, really well. But I don't know if that's something that, AMC wants to do. It's interesting because that's what everyone wants, right? But it's sort of up to them as to is that even worth doing, kind of thing. But, the response to Gimple saying, oh, maybe we could do 16 episodes or something like that, everyone was so excited about it. So it's you literally have so many people excited to, watch 16 episodes, but I don't know why they don't want to do that. But I'm sure there's other things, I don't know, but I think definitely it will be more than 6 episodes. And so I think it will be longer than The Ones Who Live, that's for sure. The biggest criticism with The Ones Who Live was that it was rushed. And that's really been the criticism with all the spin-off shows that have had 6 episodes, right? Is that the story has felt very rushed. And I think for the amount of seasons that this show could have, again, that's sort of the thing that's really up for debate. The obvious answer, I guess, as of right now, is it's going to be 1 season. Right? They're just going to say, yep, we're going to have a 1 season thing. It will be really interesting to see, when they first announce the show, whether or not it's actually going to be announced as a limited series and this is it sort of thing, or if it's just a show. Because The Ones Who Live, it was announced as a show, and it wasn't necessarily a limited series, though. They never said it was 6 episodes, that was it. It was just so confusing the whole time, and it was really hard to read into what they were saying. And now looking back at it all, it makes a lot of sense. Yes, it was a limited series, it was 6 episodes, but it didn't necessarily mean that it was the end, and they would come back for more. But I guess a lot of us just thought if they were to come back for more, then it would be a season 2 of The Ones Who Live, right? And that's the thing too, is could this actually be a season 2 of The Ones Who Live? That is a possibility. It really depends on what AMC wants to do with that. The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live season 2, there's just a lot of different ways that you can really look at this, right? If you do a season 2, there could be a lot of excitement, but a season 2 compared to a new series and promoting it as a new series isn't the most exciting, I would say. Even though The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live was really successful, I think that having a new series with a new name, if you could find a name that works really well and you have Rick there, that would be way more exciting, I think, instead of having The Ones Who Live season 2 And, it just feels like it's an extra season to that season kind of thing. I just think having a brand new series with a new title and just that, I think would be way more exciting. And I do think that having more seasons, than just one season would be the best thing to do here. And I do wonder if that's sort of what the conversations are really about too, is like AMC's like, obviously if we do one season here and everyone reunites, like that might be it after that, right? Like we'll do other things, but like in terms of Rick and Daryl reuniting and like the excitement for all of that, like that might be it. And so they might want to do at least 3 or 4 seasons just to sort of, have that experience going on for a while instead of just like one season and that's it. So I do wonder if there's a lot of talks about that. Like, could we at least do 2 seasons, 3 or 4, then that will be it. That'll be the end of like, Andrew Lincoln playing Rick Grimes and like just all of that, right? I wonder if that is what they're talking about right now. And I would be really interested in knowing, I guess the specifics of that. But obviously we'll just have to wait and see when they announce all of this. But yeah, overall, this is really exciting news. I wasn't expecting this, honestly. It was just something that was kind of out of nowhere. It was really surprising. I think that Andrew Lincoln mentioning this, like, I really don't know what I was expecting, to be honest. Like, I guess it's just because it was so quiet. Like, I thought that with Coldwater, that there would be a lot more talk about it, but there really wasn't a lot of interviews done with it. And so this year, promoting the play that he's doing right now, it's just something that like, yeah, it makes sense that like, obviously if it's somebody from, I guess BBC One's Sunday with Laura, I don't know how to say her last name, but obviously if the question was asked, then yeah, it would catch him by surprise, but he would have to answer that. Like he couldn't just like necessarily ignore it. Like there would have to be something, and so he responded in a way that made sense. He was like, there's a conversation happening right now, and then he started talking about the play kind of thing. So yeah, really exciting news, and this is what The Walking Dead needs right now. I think that the excitement has just went up a lot now, and yeah, I'm excited to see, I guess, what is gonna be announced soon, because I imagine that this is likely going to be announced at some point. And honestly, now that there's conversations happening right now, my prediction is that there's going to be an announcement happening next year at Comic-Con, but it could be sooner for sure. But I think if there's conversations happening already, for sure next year at Comic-Con we'll probably get something, right? So anyways, I'm going to leave it here. Definitely post all your thoughts down below. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.